Today we're going to talk about the circular saw, some important points of safety, and some things to remember when you're using your saw. Your circular saw is a powerful piece of equipment, so remember to always keep your fingers, toes, and any parts of your body away from moving blades. Never hold your hand underneath your piece while trying to cut it. It's always better to secure your board with clamps. Another terrible habit is to try to prop your board up with your foot while cutting it. The depth of your saw blade only needs to be about 1/4 of an inch past what you're cutting. The way to adjust for your saw blade is this lever here. You loosen this lever and the base of your saw, hold it down, and you can adjust the depth by picking up your saw. And just eyeball it till it's about 1/4 of an inch past the depth, the thickness of your wood. And then tighten your lever, and then you're good to go. By unlocking this lever, your circular saw can also cut degrees from 90 to 45-degree angles. Before making any of your cuts that are 90 degrees, you want to check and make sure your saw blade is at a 90-degree angle. You put your speed square on the base of your saw and get that right up to your saw blade. And if everything is fitting flush, that's perfect. When you're cutting, you always want your unwanted piece to be able to fall freely from the wood. The reason is if you're cutting between the sawhorses, your material will bind on your saw, meaning it'll close on your saw, making it snatch back. Let me tell you a quick story just to emphasize the power of the saw and the importance of having your piece fall off freely. It was early in the morning on a winter day, and I knew in my mind I just wasn't there. I wasn't really in the game. So I started my day off and I had a piece to cut. And I think I was cutting through plywood, but I'm not really sure. But what happened was I started to cut, and my board was between two sawhorses, and I was cutting between the sawhorses. So as I cut, as I got about 1 foot into my cut, the blade binded, and it snatched the saw back. And at that time, this was a long time ago, so there wasn't cordless saws and drills. We had cords, and your blade didn't automatically stop. So what happened was, when it snatched back, I tried to move, but it caught me right there and it snatched up the side of my body. Now, like I said, it was winter, so I actually had on like a jacket, a sweatshirt. I had on some layers of clothing, and the saw blade, I have to put this down. The saw blade wound up into my clothes and got stuck way up here. And I actually needed a coworker to come and get the saw apart so that I could get my jacket released from the saw. So you can imagine if it was a summer day and I didn't have all those jackets on, I may not be making this video right now. So we always want to respect the power of power tools. Make sure that the saw blade that you're using is always sharp. You don't want to cut through wood, especially lumber like 2x4s, with a dull saw blade. If you notice that you're having to push your saw through your wood and you're getting a burning smell, your saw blade is probably dull. There are several places where you can go and have your saw blades sharpened. Sometimes people have the tendency to pick up their saw guard while cutting, and that's a bad habit. You don't want to do that because your guard is designed to automatically go up while you're cutting. Your saw has a gauge on the front to help you start your cut accurately, but you gotta remember, you always want to take into consideration the thickness of your saw blade, and you want your saw blade to be on the side of the piece you don't want. Make sure to keep the base of your saw flat on your wood to ensure that you're going to get a 90-degree cut. Position your saw close to the wood, but don't start it. When you start your cut, you want to gently move forward so that you can get on your line And as you can see, that's a square cut. It should be flush with your square. Well, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it, I would really love it if you would hit the like button and subscribe for more tips and tricks on carpentry. If you click in the description box below, you'll find a link to my school where you can get some free PDFs. And if you need to purchase any tools, you'll find a link below